Patrick Wright is our executive director. He's the person that's leading this effort between these meetings to actually get work done. Patrick, we hold ourselves accountable for a very specific plan of action. You're going to give us a progress report. Over to you.
All right, thank you. I'll try to run through this quickly. I think it's important to recognize the broader suite of actions that are happening throughout the state, through you and your colleagues in every region of the state. For those of you who are new to the task force, we do have an executive committee, as Wade said, that's specifically designed to represent federal, state, local, and tribal governments to make sure we're all aligned. We also have a science advisory council and a wide ranging number of workshops. We try to alternate meetings between going out in the regions twice a year and going to Sacramento twice a year so that we can hear from you directly on your priorities and how we can help you address them. As Wade said, this is one in a long series of those regional meetings. Really look forward to getting out of here in all parts of the state and hearing from you how we can be more effective in these meetings in both showcasing your work but also challenging us to continue giving you the tools you need to ramp up your work. We've accomplished a lot collectively, the member agencies and all of you, since 2021. Not going to go through all of these in detail, but there's been a lot of money flowing from both the federal side and the state side, billions of dollars that's leading to nearly 1 million acres treated, more than 1 million if you count activity acres, more than 700,000 if you count footprint acres that are happening, major efforts on streamlining, major efforts on tracking progress through our tracker and a number of trackers that CAL FIRE has on board. We've got a wide range of interagency work groups that are working to try to make sure we're aligned across the board. And then finally, as several people have said, I think this new source of funding, the RFFC program, has been just a huge game changer. $140 million for capacity building. It used to be that you could only get money for projects in California for shovel-ready projects. And as you can understand, that left a lot of people behind. And so one of the themes you're going to hear this afternoon is how much that capacity building money has lifted collaborative efforts throughout the state and put us in the position we are in now to deliver many, many more projects on the ground. The state level, we're not stopping. The governor released $170 million early as part of the budget process. A lot of that work is already not only being awarded by the conservancies, but is actually resulting in projects this year. So it's great to see some of that early action funding being put to work. There's also a long list of other funding processes that are being either awarded or solicitations out. Again, you can go to the task force website. We've got a complete list of all of that, who's eligible, what the timelines are. So please look there if you're interested in continuing to do your work through the many funding sources that are available. We also put out, again, to further guide you on what we're doing. There's a lot taking place. We know it's hard to keep track of. So we put together a list at the beginning of the year of 25 of the biggest initiatives that are happening. Certainly leading with regulatory streamlining and funding, but also a wide variety of new initiatives. As Jason said, a new initiative to create a comprehensive fuel break system throughout California that's backed by what we're calling fire management zones that allow us to get in there a lot quicker and faster to do work across the state. We've got new strategies underway for things like workforce, for wood utilization, for reforestation, every topic that you have come to us to address, grazing. A lot of new efforts that are happening across the board. Again, go to our website. You can learn more about what's happening at the state level. First and foremost among those things, as Secretary Crowfoot said, was the governor's proclamation of an emergency that have led to significant level of streamlining. You can now have a one-stop shop rather than the normal permitting process where folks had to go through an agency process. You have a one-stop shop. Projects must be submitted by the end of this year, so get them in quickly so that we can get those processed. Wide variety of eligible entities. Again, you can go to our website to get the details. We also have a new extended deadline for projects that are either being undertaken by state landowner agencies or folks who have gotten state grants. Again, there's some complexities in the program, so make sure you go online to our website, read through the guidelines, figure out what you're eligible for, what the timelines are, because this is a very high priority for all of us to make sure that you have the tools you need to get projects done as fast as possible. We're really thrilled to say that it's working. We've got, as Secretary Crowford said, over 100 projects already approved, all the way through the permit approval system, and many of them are even underway. As you've been told us repeatedly, it often takes 2 or 3 years to get through this process. We're finding right now is in one season we're getting done what would otherwise take a couple of years. So it's just been great to see, but keep giving us feedback on how it's working, how it's not working, so that we can better serve you. Just a couple of examples in Southern California, the MRCA Fuels Reduction Project, Tanner Creek, Rancho Cucamonga. We've got a dozen examples already in Southern California where this process is leading to critical work on the ground. So we're very happy to report the process is working and that the task force will be working with the governor's office and the agencies to develop options to sustain that process over time once we get through this initial period. And then in addition to that, we often get calls all the time. Folks out there in the field yourselves, they want to participate, but they really want to know specifically who they can talk to rather than going to a website. So we've actually developed a comprehensive list of agency contacts for every region. The actual names and contacts throughout the system, whether they're CAL FIRE, whether they're UC A&R, which is a wonderful system advisors, you can now have available to you experts in every part of the state to answer your specific questions about how do I apply, where's the funding, what other projects are happening in my area. It's going to be a tremendous resource, we hope, for all of you to get you better access to state and local assistance. We are also, as Jason said, building the next generation of projects. Well, how are we doing that? Well, one of the ways we're doing that is we're beginning to work much more closely, in particular between the state system and the federal system, to align our planning processes. So what we've done over the past couple of months is work really hard with the Forest Service to reconfigure our regions and even sub-regions so that we can better align our planning. Now, why does this matter? It matters because historically, each agency, as you can imagine, plans and prioritizes projects separately. Often they're funded jointly, but we really want to take things to the next level where we're jointly planning and prioritizing projects across the board. And this area, ironically, is the area that's actually leading the way in that. This is a slide that we began building 2 years ago. We had a task force meeting down here where we got $10 million from the Forest Service. We've got, what is it? $32 million from the National Forest Foundation, $10 million from CAL FIRE, $20 million from the RFFC program, all being spent strategically together. This is a big, big step away from the individual grant by grant approval process that many of you are familiar with, and we hope to build on throughout the state. Really paying off for you, and want to hear more from you how we can make this work better. CAL FIRE in particular is now stepping up with a series of regional pilots. You've told us you like block grants. You want to be able to fund many projects at a time to help provide sustained funding. CAL FIRE has stepped up in this case. They took $5 million from their forest health grants, $5 million from fire prevention grants, and have been able to fund a wide variety of projects in Southern California. This slide gives you a sense of both the potential for that, but also the complexity of it. Every region is going to be different as the agencies move towards block grants. There's some complications, as you can imagine, in terms of the award processes and the various funding restrictions that we're still working hard to resolve, but over time our hope is to increasingly move to block grants and regional investment strategies so that we can better leverage state and federal funding throughout the state. The ignition reduction program is a great example of how that's coming together. A whole group of us met yesterday, federal, state, tribal, nonprofit agencies that are all working on ignition reduction programs as part of a single strategy in Southern California. Great to see the group working together, rolling up their sleeves and really talking about how the Caltrans work and the Forest Service work and the CAL FIRE work and work of nonprofits can all be brought together and jointly funded to get where we need to be in Southern California. And then finally, let me just spend a few seconds on our update. You're going to be getting a draft of our update probably in about a month. We've shown this slide to you before. We're going to build on the great progress we've made in developing joint strategies across the board. We're going to have a strong science foundation that's going to be built on the synthesis that our science advisory panel has given us on the types of projects that work and don't work. CAL FIRE is stepping up with its forest and range assessment, a document that it puts together every 5 years to give us the latest thinking on wildfire throughout the state that we can build on. And then most important, we're going to include a set of regional profiles, plans, and priorities that directly come from each of you so that we can both showcase the work that's being done regionally and also talk about what we need to do to help you get to the next level. And as part of that, we're developing a 5-point plan as part of the update to try to accelerate work on the ground. It all starts, as Jason said, with planning. We're going to begin to align with the Forest Service and the state agencies and BLM to start developing joint 5- and 10-year plans throughout the state. That's going to be a game changer. Permitting, we're going to build on the governor's emergency process and begin to develop an enduring streamlined process. Funding, under Prop 4, the California Natural Resources Agency is developing a whole new set of guidelines that's going to provide a lot more flexibility to all of you to be able to access funding and resolve some of the differences between state agency funding programs. We've heard a lot of you that it's a real challenge trying to navigate those different programs, many of which have different reporting requirements, different deadlines, different restrictions. We're working really hard to try to pull all that together into a comprehensive set of funding guidelines that'll help you access money more quickly and easy. Implementation. Jason also talked about Good Neighbor. For those of you who are not familiar with that, this is a federal law that allows state and local partners to do work on Forest Service land. We're going to be using that authority more and more, particularly CAL FIRE, to try to work, again, jointly with the Forest Service and with BLM to try to do multi-agency, multi-benefit projects. And then finally, we've heard loud and clear, acres treated does not tell the story, particularly in Southern California. So we're working collaboratively with our science team and with the Forest Service to develop a new outcome-based reporting system that really focuses more on reducing fire risk, fire hazard, flame length throughout the state. You're going to get a preview of that this afternoon in our last panel about some of the fabulous tools that have been developed in Southern California to both better plan and prioritize projects, but also to report on the progress that's being made beyond acres treated by using some innovative new approaches. And then finally, with respect to the action plan, we're going to try to make it easy for all of you to navigate. This is not going to be a 200-page document that you have to slog through. It's going to be a web-based system where if you're interested in beneficial fire, you can see why does it matter, what's happening, how can I find the whole plan, what are some great case studies out there. So we're really going to try to make this plan a living document that's on our website that'll be a one-stop shop for all of you to better understand and participate in what we're doing over time. Again, we're going to continue our series of meetings. We'll have our next meeting at the end of the year in December. We're then going to head to the Central Sierra, hopefully in Jason in your backyard in the spring as we move forward. And then again, I can't emphasize it enough, whether it's the emergency proclamation and the permitting requirement or just staying updated in general on everything that's happening, please use our website as a one-stop shop for all of that. So that's our general sort of summary of where we are. Let me end, though, by just a couple reflections on where we've been in Southern California in the last 3 or 4 years. Candidly, when I started this job, we got an earful from Southern California, that we just didn't get it. We didn't understand that Southern California was different, its vegetation is different, its fire risk is different. We really have worked hard in the last 3 years to respond to that in several ways. First and foremost, we brought in our top scientists from the region to educate us and educate the task force on the region and how and why its priorities and its fire risks are different. Secondly, we've invested a huge amount of money and energy in tools that help address that unique risk. That's going to be the key focus of our last panel that you'll hear from today. And then finally, we've really tried to make good on our pledge to go regional. To really try to focus on streamlining, aligning funding, giving folks tools so that you can make decisions on where to plan, prioritize, and fund projects. So I'm really happy to say that we made a lot of progress on that. You're going to hear a lot about that today. Today's 3 panels are all regionally driven. They're all put together by the regional leadership so that you can both showcase to us the great work you're doing, but equally important to challenge us on how we can do better to help you get where you need to be. So thank you, Secretary Crowfoot. Look forward to a really exciting day.
Big thanks, Patrick. As always, energizing to see our progress, and I appreciate how focused we are on updating this action plan and continuing to be obsessed with outcomes. So thank you.
Can I just add, I know we're running late, but I just want to add one more point there, because several of our panelists have mentioned the fact that this is a limited audience. These meetings are put on by practitioners for practitioners. That's why we have hundreds of people here eager to hear the latest tools that are out. That's great, but I'll be the first to say we need to do a better job of getting the message out to the general public, to counties, to the legislature, to community foundations. So please let us know when we put out this draft in about a month or so. We're going to go on the road. So please, for every area in the state, let us know who we should be talking to. Who are the decision makers? Who are the media influencers? Who are the folks out there we need to talk to? Because if we're going to be effective, it's got to be as large as this audience and great as this audience is. We've really got to get to a larger audience if we're going to secure the funding and the support we need to continue our work. So thank you again.
Yeah, absolutely. Well put. We've got a great staff team at the task force that lets us make all this progress, including Kristen Merrill. And Kristen, as we transition to these panels, is going to lead us through a popular activity for those who have been to task force meetings before. So let's bring up Kristen. And I think you guys will need them, right?
Well, you're not really going to stretch yet, but we'll try and get that. We'll get something in. First, I want to see who's online and who's in the audience. So for those of you, let's just say this first. We have a registration at 400 people. We have about 350 people in the room. That is like max capacity. And so these meetings are really popular. And we like literally have the fire marshal in the room. So no, like if you haven't registered, you can't come, because what happens if the fire marshal finds out? So next time when we go to the Sierra, sign in early, like register early. Please, please, please. And we've got 270 people online. So let's find out. We're going to find out who's in the room, but we're going to find out who's online. So those folks that are online, you can scan this QR code, or you can click the link in the Zoom, and you'll be taken to a Mentimeter. And there's going to be 3 poll questions there asking where your work's based and who you're affiliated with. So now I want everyone to stand up. And in case we don't get to do this, we're just going to do a stretch. Because, I know you're afraid to put your arms up. It's hot and really sweaty outside, but it's okay. We all smell a little bit right now. So put your arms up. Good. Turn to your right. And I want you to take 2 minutes to talk to your neighbor. Find out who they are and where they're from. right, start finishing it up. All right, nice job. I don't know how to whistle. There you go. Somebody knows how to whistle. Go ahead and sit down. Nice job, Tom. That is what is so special about these meetings, is like talking to other people. So we will have some other opportunities today, but right now you really need to sit down. Let's see who's online. We've got a lot of state agency folks online. We've got nonprofits online, NGOs, local government, some tribal representatives, and then the feds and the universities. So that's exciting. The next question, we're going to find out other questions first, but let's find out, we know who's online. Let's find out who's in the room.
And just a reminder, Kristen, if you haven't used Menti before, it's very easy. Almost everybody has a smartphone. Just go to menti.com. It's on the top of the screen here. And then just type in this code. And Kristen will ask some questions that you probably want to figure in on. So we have about 150 out of over 500 people participating. So please join the survey here.
Fantastic. And we'll probably ask you some questions using Mentimeter during the day. So for those of you who are in the room, you can download it now or in a little bit. Finding out who's in the room, I would love for our federal partners to stand up. And we appreciate you. Thank you for your hard work. All right. Go ahead and sit down. Thank you. Our tribal organizations. In the back, nice job. Local organizations like the RCDs. I know you guys are in the room. Nonprofits, other nonprofits. Private organizations. All right, and state agency partners. Good job. And then anyone else that I didn't call on? Oh, did I miss it? I didn't. Oh, I said local organizations. So local government. Woohoo! All right. So we've asked where your work is focused. And I really want to know, thank you to the folks in the Inland Empire. Who's from the Inland Empire? Can you please stand up? Thank you for having us in your region. It's really special to be here. And then we've got where our work's focused. Do we talk about, are we asked the question about how many task force meetings? Is that online? How many task force meetings have you been to? Can you guys answer that question? I want to know, okay, we got to stand up. If you've been to every single regional meeting that we've had since Santa Rosa in 2022, right after COVID. Yes! All right, thank you for participating.